Affirmative Reaction Podcast. 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 Affirmative Reaction Podcast.
News been slow this past weekend.
Shit, for the past 2 weeks. Shit, for the past election.
You got any thoughts on the election? The aftermath of the process that's going on right now?
Yeah, I think Trump lost, and it's all posturing at this point.
Could be. I wouldn't refute that. I don't know, I guess to make it...
I mean, his whole personality is winning.
True.
We don't lose. Ever.
You don't think
So if he legally loses, he still didn't lose. There'll be something... He was robbed somehow. He didn't lose.
I think this is the only way that he can accept it, like, because he's never gonna concede, but at some point he has to accept it.
Yeah, he just has to leave.
Some of the tweets he's been tweeting
yesterday. He said, "I won the election in all caps." It's November 16th, bro.
He kind of been alluding to the fact that maybe he is accepting it softly. He'd be like, "Biden won, but we still got lawsuits." Man, as far as the lawsuit goes, man, I don't really have too much of a position on it. If I did, I'd say send it. Go for it. Why not?
They got until January. Do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
If you think it's going to do something, do it. If you think it's not going to do something, do it. You got the choice.
I know I would be hard pressed for him and his team to really believe that they have the time to find whatever to flip all the states they need to flip. There's some scenarios that sound possible, but it's all just out there and outrageous.
It's outrageous.
I don't know, man. I think this mail-in voting was it was sketchy. It was just sketchy. The whole election night was sketchy. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or like I'm just being delusional or whatever, but it's hard for me to believe that this many people decided to vote because you can vote by mail.
Yeah, because who wants to get fucking COVID?
Who
wants to stand in a fucking line for 5 hours?
Dude, if you've been seeing people out since COVID, I don't think COVID was the reason that kept them from.
It was the reason.
That's what they say. But
that's why he switched the Postmaster General and got the fucking machines broke down and all that.
Man, they
tried to disrupt it, dude.
People been out rioting. People been out just doing
those
all
ain't
kinds
voters.
of stuff. It don't.
Those are rioters.
I know they're not voting.
Those are paid conspirators.
But still, people still showed up to the polls. COVID was just supposed to be a scapegoat. It was supposed to be an excuse, and I'm not buying it. People still was going to go out and vote.
I didn't go to the poll.
You mailed yours?
I didn't vote.
I went to the polls. I went, and it wasn't even really crowded either. Like I said...
Didn't they open up fucking basketball stadiums and shit for that?
Yeah.
Like part of the NBA...
in Cleveland...
I thought they were going to do it like in the
they did it
whatever
in Atlanta.
Cities own the stadium.
They did it in Atlanta. You can go to whatever that arena is called.
I think they did it at the Staples Center.
So
I had this dude on Facebook had a picture.
Affirmative Reaction Podcast.
Man, this COVID is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, because nobody's wearing their fucking masks.
Do you really believe that everybody that gets COVID gets it because they don't wear a mask?
No.
So how important and how serious is wearing a mask if there isn't really much of a correlation
Then
between
why
catching
in all the
COVID.
Asian countries where they do wear masks that there's nobody in the hospitals and nobody fucking getting COVID because they're all wearing masks?
You trust?
Have you ever been to Japan?
I've never been to Japan.
Before COVID, people wearing masks.
But that was for the pollution, not because of
No, that's for flu season.
Flu season, the pollution,
That's
all
not
of it.
Pollution.
That's
There's more pollution in LA than any country in fucking Asia.
Not China.
I'm talking about Japan.
All right, well, you're right. But still though, I mean, it's hard to make that correlation. First of all, after you got scientists saying that the masks don't really help.
I've never heard a scientist say that.
You never heard Dr. Fauci saying that.
He said it initially.
And then
in December.
It was not December, dude.
It was definitely January or February.
It was like March, April.
And where are we now?
And
you don't think somebody could see other facts and shit and change their mind?
But
like they say it and it's like Twitter, you said something 10 years ago and it still stands?
It's hard. I'm not trying to argue the fact that you can't change your mind or whatever, but we haven't seen anything that it does work.
Have you ever seen a video of somebody wearing a mask and it's cold out?
Yeah.
And you breathe without the mask and you can see the air, the vapors.
And then
you put the mask on and you don't see the vapors.
And then the fact it's not even a mask. They just tell you to put on a face covering. Anything to just cover your face.
The same difference.
It don't do anything, dude.
I literally just said, if it was 30 degrees right now, you could see your breath.
But
however, if you put something in front of your face,
that don't mean the little particles aren't coming through that mask. And like you said, you don't believe that people who catch COVID.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they're not coming through it.
The mask does not. It isn't anything definitive to show that the mask prevents.
It does, because the countries that use the mask mandate do not have the high COVID like we do.
But what about But we do the mask mandate, and we still
you have the mandates,
COVID.
But you see crowds of people not wearing them. A mandate doesn't help if nobody's wearing the mask.
You kind of just made my case a little bit because you said the countries that don't have the mask mandate don't have the highest.
No, I said the ones that do.
Which countries? China,
the India, Asian countries.
India doesn't have the mask mandate like we do.
Right, and look at their fucking COVID counts.
Ours is higher. We have the higher deaths. We have the higher cases.
And that is good or what?
But as I'm saying, we got the mask mandates. But there is
where? Here? California is one state. I mean, every other state is walking around like nothing's going on.
You got it
and their hospitals are filled.
You got it in Indiana. You got it in Minnesota. You got it in Pennsylvania. Well, Georgia is wide open now. But COVID is going up everywhere. You had it in New York City, and they had it the worst. They had the mask stuff, the shutdown, the lockdown, social distance, and all that.
And they didn't.
And they had it the worst.
And they stopped.
And they still got it the worst. Cases are still going up, but we keep glossing over the fact that the recovery rate is 99.9%. How is that not?
The fucking hospitals. We're not talking about a general population. We're talking about a hospital in this community, in that community, in this community. If they're filled with fucking morons in there with COVID or whatever, and I need to go get a goddamn pill for something else, and they're fucking filled up.
You don't go to the hospital to get pills. You get them from,
If I need to go to the hospital and the hospital fucking beds are filled up.
But they're not, though.
They are. Look at fucking Texas, dude.
That's just the ICU. That's not all of the hospital beds.
Correct.
That's not the entire
Correct.
hospital.
And each one is what, like 20 beds?
That's not the ER.
Correct.
They're not talking about the ER. They're not talking about the whole entire ICU.
Right. The fact that this got politicized is bullshit. Because here's politics and here's science. Politicians know nothing about science. Scientists do science. They don't do politics. Politicians politicize the science. The scientists don't do that.
I agree that it's been politicized, but it's also been, I don't want to say blown out of proportion.
No, it has.
Because we're talking about 200. We're talking about 200,000 people dead, right? What happened?
260.
What happened to the 655,000 people that die every year from heart disease? What happened to the 200?
Because that's a cumulative thing. This you
Is
can
this-
get and you can die in a week.
We haven't seen anybody.
It takes
that
heart
died.
disease about 20, 30 years to fucking kill you.
It doesn't matter, but almost 1 million people die from it every year. What
And
happened? What happened to those people?
There's no vaccine for heart disease.
What happened to those people though?
They're dead.
But why do we not have so many more heart disease or any of these other?
Because
Diseases
corporations
that
make a
kill
lot
you.
of money on the fast food and alcohol and everything else.
And
That causes that shit.
They making money off of this COVID too.
No, I don't deny that.
They're making money off of this COVID too. And what I'm seeing, man, is the people who are out don't necessarily feel the same way about like
What
how
you mean
do.
out?
Like working, doing whatever they got to do, like pretty much back to normal. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where it's coming down to is either you're gonna stay inside or you're gonna live your life normal. And people really are living their life normal, whether you're at the airport or at some sort of event, hotel. I mean, people are taking it seriously, wearing this mask, but there's only so far you can go without having some serious hardcore mandate and people just saying, no, you're not 6 feet, you're not 6 feet. Because nobody really is 6 feet.
You know what's funny about that at work today? I was doing my fencing or whatever I was doing, but I could see this other group of people and hear them. And I think one of them was the manager of, I don't know what they're painting or whatever. There's like 3 or 4 of them. They're cleaning out a freezer. And I heard the guy in charge. He's like, hey, guys, could you please keep your social distance? I know it's hard to, but please. All of them had masks on, and they all had to work together. But he's like, please keep your social distance.
And out of everything we've seen this summer, dude, nobody want to make the correlation that all of them riots and protests is what's keeping this thing going. Because you've been hearing reports of people coming from in and out of states going to all these different riots, all these different protests.
I went to
and
a
shit
restaurant
like
and
that,
caught
man.
it, not because I was out rioting. And
But I'm saying
you know,
though, what do those people do when they go back to their regular life? They go to restaurants, they go back to the gym, they go back and hang out. I mean,
cash that.
Out of everything that's happened this summer, there's been nothing about. Well, how about these daily protests in cities all
Portland
over the
should
country?
be over flooded with COVID if that's the case.
It might
Because
be.
they've been out in the streets for fucking months, dude.
It might be. I mean, apparently every single state is having a spike.
But they don't get sick from it, the teenagers.
They having a spike and catching it, but the deaths are still flatline. Like the deaths aren't going up. Not like people getting it. And I'm not even gonna lie to you. Again, I'm not trying to put on this conspiracy theorist hat, but
Yeah, please don't. I'm done with them.
some of this stuff is just hard to.
I
I don't feel like we're getting the full context of everything.
That's one of the main reasons I look forward to not having Trump as president, because I fucking hate conspiracies. And I hate conspiracy theorists. And I hate anything like that.
Man, something.
And he buys into that bullshit.
Some conspiracies are just outrageous thoughts and not like.
Yeah, any clown with an internet connection can say anything. Oh, that makes sense. Let's buy into that.
Yeah. But nah, this COVID is. I'm done with it. I'm almost that guy sometimes. Like, leave me alone. Like, go somewhere else with your social distancing. Don't come over here with that.
Man, like I've always said, I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
California's that way. Florida's that way. I mean, literally. and politically.
Affirmative Reaction Podcast.
Gavin Newsom's a doucher and a hypocrite and
Hardcore hypocrite.
really trying to flex his muscles with this COVID thing.
He apologized for saying that you shouldn't have any kind of gatherings for Thanksgiving and all this good stuff, and then you find out that he goes to a birthday gathering
At the French Laundry.
and he's like, I'm so sorry. As soon as I sat down, I realized I should have just left. Get out
Fuck
of there.
him.
The funny thing about it is people